Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Winter Spectacular. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Stephen Balnicore.
I'm Chris Yee.
I'm Camilla Cleghorn.
And we're taking a look today, a live Foursquare review of Foundations of Rome. But before we take a look at this, there's a contest going on where you can win a $30 gift certificate from Game Nerds. Great online gaming store. You can get a copy of that. It's probably not enough to get a copy of Foundations of Rome, but you could probably buy something to help you lift weights so that you could pick up the box.
Are you trying to hide behind the
You're
box?
really selling the game here.
Well, he can hide behind a box of Ticket to Ride. Anyhow, so to enter that contest, email us at contest@dicetower.com. In the subject line, put the word Frosty, the snowman.
The snowman.
Or the delicious dish from Wendy's.
You're thinking of Frosty the Reindeer, Tom.
You know, they used to have a caramel Frosty at Wendy's, and they stopped making it. I'm very annoyed about that. It was really
I didn't
delicious.
even know about that.
It was a seasonal thing.
I would go there.
Seasonal stuff should not be allowed.
Agreed.
Because it's always
Agreed.
delicious, and then it's gone. All right, Foundations of Rome.
I like the pumpkin caramel macchiato stuff.
This is
Wendy's?
a giant game
from Starbucks.
from Emerson Matsuuchi and Arcade
Venti.
Wonders. It's part of the Dice Tower
Like a
Essentials
venti
line.
Frosty, please.
Realized throughout this review that I was involved with this to some degree as it came about. I did not expect it to be quite so large. In fact, you're seeing the front of it. This is the side. It's a very huge game, which young men can't pick up.
Thank you for calling me up.
I insulted you and complimented you at the same time.
Essentially, this
That's
is
the
one
backhand right there.
full Calyx shelf
Do you think you
tube.
could get it out though? Like, 'cause I can see it would fit. Could you get like fingers in there to? Like,
Yes, you can.
You can? Okay, all right.
But it's
All right.
It requires an
it's not-
apparatus with straps.
It's not easy.
Okay.
And I have fairly fat fingers. But well, we'll test later with you. Anyhow, let's talk about how the game plays, and we'll come back and give you our thoughts. The game is played on a grid, two sides of the board. This side is used for the 4 or 5 players. The purple and the red are used for that. And you're going to have a deck of cards that match on the grid. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to get some coordinates, and they're going to place ownership markers on them. So at the beginning of the game, you're going to have all the properties here on the board. This is a setup for a 4-player game, and they're going to have these. Again, that shows that you control that property. Each player has their own whole setup board. Everyone has the exact same board with different kinds of buildings. You have residential buildings, you have civic buildings, and you have commercial buildings, as well as your markers and these special little monument markers. So players are going to have these buildings. They're going to have their handful of cards. You just keep this card somewhere, so in case the board gets shuffled, you know which properties you control. And then there's another board that's going to determine the flow of the game. On a player's turn, they have 3 different things that they can do. One of them is to purchase a lot. You start with 6, but you can purchase more. You can have up to 8 lots at any given point in time. And you simply pay the cost here in money over it. So this would be 6 money, and then you'd pay that, and then all the cards would slide down. You put a new one here. I buy this one, they slide down, I put it here. When this deck of cards runs out, and then all these cards are gone, that ends the round, and you're going to proceed to scoring. As you take lots, you're trying to put lots next to your other lots if possible, so G8 would be a good one maybe for red to take, but you are limited by your 8 that you have on the board. So you might want to put more buildings on the board as an action. You can go to any of your buildings or any of the monument buildings, which I'll show you later, and you can put it where it might go. So I can take this single building here, take this lot off the board, put it back on my supply, and put that. Or I have 2 next to each other, so I could put this one here. You can even later on replace a smaller building, putting it back on your board with a larger building, as long as you own the areas to put them on. Now, as you're placing these buildings on the board, they're going to be giving you benefits. Population buildings, these here, are simply going to raise your population marker on the track by the number that it shows on the building. These buildings, the commercial buildings, are going to give you more money. So your third action that you can take is simply to take coins. Whenever you do that, you'll take 5 coins plus the number of the buildings that you have on the board. You don't need to go around and count them because your box underneath, once you take the building out, you see, so for example, if I take a coin action, I'm getting 10 coins. 5 plus 2, 4, 5 more because I put those building out. Civic buildings don't do anything for you initially. They score during the scoring round. You can also optionally play, and you should always play, with monuments, and you'll choose a certain number of monuments, and each of them, they're bigger, giant buildings that any player can build. And if you build them, you put one of your markers in to show that it's yours, and they give you special bonuses, but they also might have special requirements to build them as you put them on the board. At the end of an era, when the cards run out, players are going to do their scoring. Commercial buildings are going to give you points equal to whatever is underneath them. So if I was that red player that I showed you earlier, they're going to get the points that are listed here. So this one's worth 3 points, and this one's worth 3 points. And you keep track on this point track here. Players are going to get points for civic buildings based on the buildings that they're next to. So for example, this building here gives you 1 point for every other building it's next to, even if it's someone else's building. Some give you points for being next to citizens, coins, civic buildings, etc. Then you're going to get points for your population. Whoever has the highest population is going to score points to that number. In this case, it would be purple, would get 8 points, plus the population bonus of the round. So it's 4 points, 7 points, and 10 points that you'll get. Then the next highest, in this case 6, gets points equal to where highest is. So green would get 8, blue would get 6, red would get 2, yellow doesn't get any because they never got onto the board. So you'll keep track of these victory points up here, and you'll go again. This happens through all 3 eras. The only difference is in final scoring, you get points for the empty lots that you never put buildings in. Seeing a little bit here of just how gorgeous these pieces are. I mean, these are 3D models. They all come in boards. They're all going to have a plastic lid placed on them, like shown here, and then they are all slid into a box. The deluxe version also comes with a pile of extra pieces here that are all listed in the rule book for different modules. So it gives you some information about the different monuments that are in the game. It also shows you happily how to put everything back into each of the different sections, which is useful. But like I said, there's different modules here. A cooperative module, I haven't played that yet. The objectives module, a module for sealing, and monuments is technically its own module, but like I said, I really feel like you should always play with the monuments. Okay, so realize this is this is an early copy. I know they're washing some copies of the things. I saw that. It hasn't shipped yet. It's a bear to ship this thing.
You don't say.
We got to talk about that first
like
of all.
5 copies in the world.
The component qualities, yeah, there's very few. The component quality of this is both amazing, daunting, and not for everybody.
Right.
Well, this is so even the base game is like $100, isn't that right? And that it comes with like 4 players, and then for X amount more, you get the 5th player plus more monuments, and then for more, you can get a what do they call that? The sun drop.
Well, anyway, it doesn't really matter because it was a Kickstarter game, so this is not going to retail.
Not going to retail specifically.
Okay.
But we're talking about it like I like this a lot, but this doesn't go to game night very often because
I think it does.
I have a game bag.
I think it does. Just like that, you lug it in. 1 game.
You couldn't hold it earlier.
But I'm working on getting stronger so I can actually carry this game. But anyway.
So you said that you would put this in your bag, and it's the 1 game that fits in your bag, and it's worth it for that. Do you consider this a main game of the night? This would be your game night game.
Should we start with that kind of commentary? But the answer is yes.
Okay, yeah.
The answer is yes.
I can see this as a game. I mean, it's not that long. It's an hour at most, usually, right?
I'm gonna give away a little bit here. This was good.
Oh wow!
Spoilers.
This is like
Stop the presses!
Bonacor says it's good. All right. How do you want to go?
No, I'm talking about. Here's the thing. It's clearly overproduced. Okay, we're not gonna pretend otherwise.
Yes.
I gotta say though, I like the buildings. I like the look of it on the board.
Right.
I think they did a good job with those. I can instantly tell what almost every building does. We have to look up the monuments if you play with them.
Yeah.
But the rest of
Yes.
the buildings I like. I like the player trays, and when you take a building off, it shows you what you get from that. There's one minor thing I don't like about the production, besides the gigantic size of it. I don't like these trays, the little tokens that you put on the board. They're little,
The ones that you put
like
on the
control
monuments,
markers?
or the ones you
Both
put
of them.
initially.
Oh, okay.
there's a
Okay.
little plastic piece that comes in that goes on top of those. If that's not in there right, those fall out every time.
Oh, I
me
didn't
show
have that
you.
problem.
They
Okay.
fall out of.
Pull out of each player tray.
Oh, come on.
They're a mess.
Oh, come on.
wait,
They're a mess.
So you
yeah.
immediately, as you take the thing out and you get it all ready to play.
I just said it was a minor
It's
thing.
literally, you put this on the table, you're ready to start
After
the
you-
game.
after
Gotta
you
organize
clean up.
those.
Right, after you
Right.
clean up.
Again, I said
You spent
minor thing.
$160 for a customized tray that doesn't
That doesn't, right.
doesn't quite do its job. That is a letdown.
It's irrelevant, everyone out there. Irrelevant.
So
But I mean, if you spent that much time on the components, on the custom trays, as we said, and then it doesn't function properly,
There's
that
a
is
little,
a little bit. It's
but there's
just
a little
bit,
plastic
but-
piece that goes on top of them to hold them in place. I just found that little extra plastic piece to be annoying.
Okay.
Oh, so this is a Tom Vassell mistake.
That's why I said it's really minor.
So here's what I'll say about the production of this game is that I personally disagree with this on a fundamental level. I would never own this game. This is ridiculous. In terms of the gameplay, though, what I would prefer is if the monuments were the cool minis and everything, and
That did
if they could stand out as monuments. You accomplished something huge. You built a fantastic monument, right? Your latrine does not need to be the same size as the monument that you build, or your little level 1 bank. It makes everything feel less special when everything is as ludicrously overproduced as it is. And then I also want to say, someone's going to argue about the word overproduced. We'll talk about that in a minute as well.
We will?
Yes.
Okay, well,
I'm gonna talk
yeah,
about it.
because I was going to argue that, actually. That's where I was going. So I did not think about that with the, with the monuments
segue.
not feeling as special or spectacular when you build them. And I can definitely see that. I think I had not thought of that, and I would agree with it. But I think overproduced is getting thrown around and is going to get thrown around with this. But I don't think I consider it overproduced because I think that I would not want to play a, we'll say, tile version of this. I think the overproduction, the production to me of it, is what makes me want to play it.
She thinks
that
it's
is the
underproduced.
selling. Under. I need more.
So,
Go ahead. Yeah, please.
you know, so 100%, of course, it's overproduced. I mean, by definition, this is an overproduced
But is
game.
it overproduced? Okay, go ahead.
But,
Carry on.
but completely disagreeing with the fact that your, not latrine, they don't have that, but whatever, your
Whatever.
your population
It's an
building,
expansion.
they don't have the latrines in there.
soon.
But you're like, your residential building, which is small, sitting next to the Coliseum, it's not to scale exactly, but it looks phenomenal. And as you're collectively building this in front of everybody, it looks astonishing. We'll talk about gameplay in a second. And sure, as Camilla implied, if you're playing with tiles, just flat, what do you call the polyomino tiles, it wouldn't look nearly as interesting and would also look very hard to distinguish buildings, I think, if they're just flat pieces. It looks great and just as phenomenal. No, does everybody want a Calyx cubed game like this? No, but
All right, well, Chris,
It's-
what were you going to say? I really want to know what
honestly.
Chris was going to say.
So the thing about overproduction is I think that this game is really fun. You can play this game in 45 minutes. I love I love games that have a grid. I love games that you can kind of map things out and build them up. I like polyomino things. But I thought about bringing this home this week to play it one more time before this review, and it was too daunting. That, for me, is when a game goes from really nice production, and I do appreciate a good production, to overproduce, is when it gets in the way of me saying, let me pull this one off the shelf. This one is sitting here free, available to me to play whenever I want, and I chose not to
anymore.
even bring it home.
But what's daunting?
And I
about
chose
it?
not to.
Are you kidding? Come on now.
What is what define the word daunting to me? What is I mean, the game is humongous, but what's
Right.
daunting? The play, I taught the game at the retreat.
That's not what
I
he's
don't
talking
teach-
about. He's
And
talking
we're all
about
very
the,
proud of you.
Yeah. So, listen, Tom. No, but I don't. I mean, daunting to me sound like Twilight Imperium 4th edition is a daunting
All right,
game.
he's talking about production, and you know that.
Right.
But I don't.
But
I
the
wouldn't
production
use
doesn't
that.
match the gameplay. I love the gameplay actually. But
All right.
okay, we're gonna
But if you
fill
took
up
that
the
production
whole
out
table.
of it, I think the experience significantly suffers because of it.
Yes.
No. All right. This is where I'm going to come in because I played this game on paper
Okay.
tokens and stuff when Emerson was first designing it and showing us Dice Are Essential, and I loved the game. I think the production elevates it, but I want to be really careful here because some people, I've already said in the chat, and I know it's going to come across that way, that if it wasn't nicely produced, that this would be an okay game.
No.
I think this game is really fun, despite whether it's great production or not.
Yes.
So I think the buildings and everything look great, but if it was with tiles, I still love the game. I love the whole real simple decision. Draft a card, put something out, or play a building. Draft a card, take money, play a building. Really simple decisions, and yet it feels very interactive. It feels fun. It has a little bit of a choir with the things out there. I love the gameplay. I want to be really clear on that.
Well, yeah, and I guess to that point as well, not docking the gameplay, but I don't think I would want to play the game because every building is unique. Whether it's population, whether it's the civilian ones, whatever, they're all unique. So I can't imagine being on paper or being on tiles that organization because of this production of it. And you have this tray, you can clearly see what does what. If you were just handed a bag full of tiles, all right, let me organize my tiles. Where does the one do the what? It would just be that to me would be much more daunting than the size that this brings.
Well, what did you guys think of the gameplay?
All right, now we get the gameplay. Who's going first? Who's
Chris
got the
first.
lowest numbers? Would you go?
No.
That's
Chris,
what you. All right.
no,
So gameplay-wise, it's good, right? It has familiar notes. You're talking about Acquire. Instantly, I thought of New York 1901, another game similar to this where you have to get plots of land, and I like that a lot. I like the little sliding market of cards where you're buying up the different spots of the grid, hopefully trying to make a really nice sized thing that's going to fit this building I want to build out there because it's going to give me these bonuses and stuff. Some of these other games are much simpler. This game manages to be quick and not too much, but also you're building up an income engine, you're building up a victory point engine, and so I do like that part a lot. I think that what that offers is a little bit more unique than some of the other games, like the New York 1901s and stuff.
One of the games I compared it to in my head was Century,
Okay.
because Century has those real quick decisions like this game does. Take something, do this, card sliding in Century. I don't know, I felt some similarities to that.
Okay, yeah, got the card river or whatever you want to call
Also,
it.
it's the same designer, so that's probably why.
I thought Acquire meets was it Princess of
Princess of
Florence?
Florence.
That's a terrible comparison. This is why he only reviews a few games. But all right, yes. What did you think of the gameplay?
I loved it. I absolutely loved the gameplay. Trying to move out off of the production, of course. The Acquire portion of the game, I think, is fantastic as implemented, where you're grabbing the lots and you're grabbing a lot that you have enough money to afford. But gosh, I need that one up there on the chart. It's going to cost me 16 now, but so I'll take an income action. So therefore, and hopefully a couple people grab some of the lower ones. Then I can grab with the money. That works so well. The population track is. I'm so happy that Emerson put that in the game, where population doesn't mean a lot sometimes in the game, but you can't fall too far behind, or if everyone's rushing up on the population track, you're still going to get this big population.
Yeah, you just need to get
the next
person then. Who cares?
Just get one. The dynamic there is very interesting, and sometimes you just want, I'm so close to being in front of that first person, you just jump in first, you get the first, and you get the extra bonus each era. I love the whole population thing. Then there's the area control portion of it. So as you can tell, I really like this, and I love the production. Sorry.
I know he liked it because I taught it to him, and then I kept turning around and he kept playing it.
I think I played it
multiple
4
times.
times at the retreat, at least 3 times.
Now there's a bunch of I haven't played all the modules. I would like to try some more of the modules. There's the one I'm a little worried about trying is the trading.
Yeah, I would not.
I don't know if I want to bring that into this game. I think some people might like it better, but I think it might make the game it would turn it to it would double the length.
That would be
Double the
afraid.
length
Right.
of the game.
Yeah.
If you
I
could
didn't
trade.
I didn't see how
So there's a module
trading
you
works.
can,
I heard about it.
I can be just like, hey, I'll give you B4 if you give me $3 and C7. And you're like, that would really lengthen the
It
game.
would have to
out.
be very streamlined to take, if you can't do it in like 3 seconds or 5 seconds.
But
or
I do
10
like.
seconds.
I mentioned the monuments is technically not in the base game. I'll never play without it.
You need the
Oh, I
monuments.
didn't know that.
You need
Yeah,
the monuments.
I would want the monuments. I didn't
Otherwise,
realize
it's
that wasn't base.
it's so symmetrical without the monuments. Everyone's got
Right.
exactly the same stuff. The monuments really just add that extra, like, the Colosseum is so cool for what I'm doing. And you plop this big thing down.
Did you feel like the game was mean enough? Like you could take a property someone else wants.
I did. I feel like it's a perfect amount of mean because you can do a little. Because there's a little bit of that, like, this kind of helps me, but it really helps them, so therefore I'm going to take it. But I think one of my favorite things was once I have something, it's mine. No one's taking it. It's mine, and it's precious, and I'm not giving it up. It's mine.
And if you make
And so-
too many decisions of like, I'm going to take that from you so you don't have it, I have a lot of disparate plots that do nothing for me.
Right,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
long term, it doesn't help. So I think it was the perfect balance of mean versus focus on yourself.
Tom
Keep your eye
keyed
your
on
own
being
board.
mean to me
Okay,
the whole
first of all,
time.
you could have taken the property. I let it go around once. I let it go around twice.
Keyed on being mean to me and counter-drafting my property lots.
Yeah. Gameplay-wise, I want to say, I think my favorite thing about it, gameplay-wise, was just the simplicity. Like, on your turn, there's, only 3 things you can do? And I love that. I think just it's very streamlined in its rules. It's really easy to teach. Pretty much anyone can pick it up. Even a non-gamer, maybe a little bit more nudging and helping of them. But I really think it's on the lighter side of games, which makes it very approachable. But then they feel like they got this huge experience because it is grandiose and large and tactile, and so you get a gamer experience with somebody who can only handle or is only ready for a lighter experience, or people that just prefer lighter games. Gamers that prefer lighter games. So I think it really makes itself really accessible with that. And then I mean, we've all talked about the market. Those tough decisions of like, okay, I'm going to pass this turn so I can get money because that one card I need hasn't come out yet. So timing your turns right, but also not leaving things in the market too long that you really want. That someone might kind of do that hate buying, I guess, and so I think it also makes for very interesting decisions with your limited choices, the market, the way it comes out. I think it's really interesting, but still maintains its lightness, it's ease of entry, I'll say.
Very approachable
right.
game.
And any game where you have like a pass action, you're like, oh, that's a wasted turn, but I got a pile of money.
Right, and it's
That's
a significant
good. Every
amount.
turn feels like you're progressing, which is
Right.
good.
The pass action is I mean, I did it usually, like you said, that's a negative thing in a game. It's like, oh, it's the pass turn. No, because I feel like that pass action sets you up not just for one. It's not a placeholder. It really does set you up multiple turns, and when you take it in the round, makes a difference.
And every coin you get is important.
Right.
So if you get 8 more coins, look at all those things I can now buy. So it's so critical to pass or just to take a commerce. Isn't it called commerce action or something like that? It's called pass? Okay.
I don't think it's called pass.
It's
no.
not
Yeah,
really
commerce,
not. It's more
okay.
thematic than
Functionally,
that.
yeah.
Right.
Functionally,
it's
you're
right.
just taking money.
I'm not
Yeah.
building, I'm not getting plot of land, but
I'm taking a pot
yeah,
of money.
I'm taking
Yeah.
the bank.
All right, Chris, what's your final thoughts and rating?
There's a lot to digest because I love this gameplay. I really do. I think the game should come in a box about the quarter of this size. I cannot humanly recommend this to another person, right? Because of just this production. Like I said, if I have the feeling of I have access to this right now, right? Last night I could have taken it home, played it with my wife, enjoyed a nice, pleasant 2-player game of it, but I just think I don't want to deal with just the load of the carrying it and just the table space of it all. That is what I mean by daunting. Someone in the chat was saying, like, well, what do you mean by daunting? That's what I mean. It's a weird mental load. I'm giving this game a 6.5 because I enjoy the gameplay so much, and I absolutely disagree with the form factor of it. I think it's just ridiculous.
By
But
the way-
man, it's fun.
By the way, this is, again, just to put it in perspective, this is 6 times the size of a Ticket to Ride box, right? Standard box, Ticket to Ride, 6 Ticket to Ride boxes.
Okay.
No.
Yeah,
No?
it is.
No, it
5
is
or
not.
6. I measured it. I took a dry box and I measured it.
You're terrible at measurements.
It's 5, maybe it's 5.
He measured it, Tom.
Okay,
He measured
go ahead.
it.
Go
I
ahead.
meant like this.
What do you got?
5 times the size. of a
What's your
cigarette.
opinions and rating? 11? 11? Is that what I'm hearing?
Put it up. Put the number up. Survey said 11.
No.
No, I was just kidding.
What?
11. Okay, so 10.
You can't do an 11.
It's a 10. I told Roy to put 11 up there because it was funny. It is.
I can't believe I said 11.
Yes.
It's an 11.
It really is.
Survey
Oh my
says.
God.
There we go. Thank you. He's the best. So it is. It is to me like a perfect game. I'm sorry, Chris. I'm sorry we have such a dissonance
Don't
here.
be sorry.
Well, I am. I don't.
And I think a lot of people
told him to
will
slash your tires.
absolutely agree with you, and I think a lot of people will agree with me, and there's no wrong in that.
There's no wrong.
No,
That's
of
the
course
great
not.
thing about the hobby. Sure. Is this game for
Stop,
everybody?
pull back, and talk about the game. You're about to go on a hobby thing.
I'm going to say, is this game for everybody? The answer is no. I mean, how many games at a $100+ price point can any human being have? It's just kind of hard. The gameplay here is just so solid. First time I played it, I said, wow, this is a really good game, and the production's crazy. I played it a second time, I said, oh my God, this is a really good game, and the production is crazy. So I immediately said I had to have this game for those reasons. It's going to look great. You can play it with anybody, as we've been saying, and bring it out, and you can almost play it with grandma. And you can certainly play it with fairly young kids, easily down to 8. The game is solid on every level. Love it. Will be in my collection forever.
All right.
And 11. This one goes to
Let's take a
11.
look at my rating. Is it an 11?
No.
No, it's a 9. I really do like this game. I was in the thought process about the size of the box, okay? Full disclosure, I said make it a smaller box. However, it was decided to make it the bigger box. I'm not upset about that. I really do like how it looks. Yes, I agree with Chris. I can't just throw this and carry it around. But I can have it at my house. Some games I want to be big. I don't want every game to be giant. But I like this one, and the Rome itself looks awesome. But taking all that out of the picture, this is one of my favorite games by gameplay. I think Emerson is one of the best designers on the market to make games that have really fast decisions that feel meaningful. And you know what? Way back in the day, there was a game called Big City, which was a city building with the plastic pieces. And it's not that great of a game. It's okay. But it was elevated by those cool buildings. These buildings beat up the big city buildings and make them cry mercy. And it's
Much better.
also a good game. That's a good combo for me. So I really like the game. Foundation's wrong, but also realize I have a part of the game. So, Thanks Tire Essential. So keep that in mind.
Keep it in mind.
Awesome. Well, I really like the game. I think the gameplay is very streamlined. I really enjoy that part of it. And I think for me, what sells this game is that, again, just the number of groups that it fits. You know, I can take it to experienced gamers who prefer light games. I can take it to inexperienced games who want an experience. So I gave it a 7.5. What pulled it down for me was it's just not really in my wheelhouse. You know, like it's a game that I would take
It's too
to
nice.
game. Pretty much, yeah. No, not enough blood.
Oh, you like lots of conflict?
We'll talk. I
Okay.
do, but I'm very particular with
What if
my
there was a
games.
backstabbing Caesar expansion?
Yes, make it.
I like that idea.
An 11. No. So I really like that this is a game that I would take knowing a play group to a play group, but it's not one that I'd be like, I really want to play this game. You know, so this, I think, my rating is so high because I think it is so great. It's so low because it's not specifically my type of game, if that makes sense. And so I settled somewhere, you know, right there in the middle. It definitely would recommend it. I don't have a problem with the size because I think the size is what brings the experience and which allows it to reach so many people. So this is a game that I would not want a smaller box because I want everything that comes in this size box. So if this is a game I'm going to get and to reach all those people, it's worth it. It is worth a full Calyx cube. So
Ooh,
7.5.
That's how we measure games now.
It's
it
worth
worth
a
it?
Calyx
Is it worth
cube.
half a Calyx cube?
I do kind of measure games in shelf space because we are limited to that, and that's
That's a legitimate
everyone's
thing.
different on what their storage is and what their tastes are. Absolutely.
Right.
Alrighty, well that's Foundations of Rome. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Stephen Bonacore.
I'm Chris Yee.
And I'm Camilla Cleghorn. Thanks for coming.
Let's keep moving.